Is the new MOTU Origins Point Dread and Talon Fighter better than the original? Yes and no. I'll explain why on this episode of Geek Dad Life. I want to thank Mattel for sending this Point Dread and Talon Fighter set for free for me to review, and they asked whatever I share reflects my honest opinion. Originally released in 1983, the Point Dread and Talon Fighter set was a great combination that gave you both a vehicle and a small playset. In a toy line with Castle Grayskull and Snake Mountain, the Point Dread and Talon Fighter set came in a lot smaller, but that's what made it special. You know, instead of having to wait for your birthday or Christmas, you can maybe get this at any point in time. Earlier releases of the set came with a storybook and record, and the greatest bonus of all, the Point Dread could detach from its base and then attach on top of your Castle Grayskull to expand and extend one of the greatest playsets of all time. The Point Dread and Talon Fighter did feature in different media iterations of MOTU, but its greatest appearances happen in the mini comics with stories like The Power of Point Dread and one of the all-time greats, The Tale of Tila. Fast forward to the MOTU Origins line, us MOTU fans have been hoping that the line would last long enough to allow Mattel to make a Point Dread and Talon Fighter set, and now that time has arrived and we are all very excited. Looking at the packaging, it does not disappoint. MOTU Origins has done a great job of capturing what made the original artwork so special while doing something new, and that is true here with this Point Dread and Talon Fighter set. Part of the fun of Origins artwork is seeing the different characters they feature on the packaging. This one features a lot of different mini comics versions as well as Lords of Power versions of the iconic characters we all know and love, as well as this sweet demon dude riding a pterodactyl. Taking this set out of the package, it's pretty much plastic free, just wrapped in kind of tissue-like paper, which I actually kind of liked. It made the unboxing process pretty easy. There is some assembly required, but it's pretty easy to put together. It really just took me a couple minutes. And then once you have everything assembled, you have yourself the new Origins Point Dread and Talon Fighter. Starting with the things I love about this set, it's primarily to do with the Talon Fighter. It is an upgrade on so many levels. Just about every single aspect of the original Talon Fighter is improved with this Origins release. The original always felt like a pretty cheap and hollow piece of plastic when all assembled, but when you have this Talon Fighter, it has a nice solid build quality. And if you've owned an original Talon Fighter, you know what I'm talking about. Like, you can kind of, try to play with that thing or shake it and parts will start to fly off the dang thing over time. But this thing is really solid. The wings snap in and they're really locked in. The same goes for the claws. I love that the handle is removable. So if you have it perched on your Castle Grayskull, or even if it's just on the full Point Dread, you can display this thing without the handle and just looks so much better without it. But you can also reattach if need be, and I love that you have both options here. Another great feature is that you actually have a flight stand connector port, so you can use previous flight stands like this one from the Wind Raider with your Talon Fighter. All of the original decals are recreated here for this set, which I really like. Some may have preferred, paint applications, but I don't know, there's a certain charm to these stickers, and I love the fact that they're already pre-applied, so I don't have to stressfully add them myself. Some more upgrades here. We actually have a window that's a piece of plastic instead of just, an imaginary window, and I love that added little techno bits to the moonroof. I also love that the eyes aren't painted. They're actually little translucent pieces of plastic. I think that's great. When you do open the cockpit, it has room for two figures, just like the original, but they did add nice little handlebars to control the jet. Another cool feature add is you can actually swap out the classic light blue satellite dish for this cool double cannon blaster. And for both the satellite dish and the blaster, you can attach it to the lower half of the Point Dread playset. One last thing I love about this Talon Fighter is the blue plastic they use for the canopy has this kind of, sparkly pearlescence to it, and it just makes it pop. So even though this thing doesn't have any paint applications, it does not lack the vibrant colors that has made the MOTU Origins line so special. They even had some nice engineering improvements with the point dread part of this set. The wooden perch that the Talon Fighter sits on, the little pegs that they made actually kind of lock into the two talons or claws of the Talon Fighter. So unlike the vintage playset where if you just pick it up, there's nothing really holding it to the perch, this one kind of locks in almost Lego-like. So you can easily carry the point dread with you, kind of like how it was featured in the mini comics, and you don't have to worry about it, falling off of that perch with a slight breeze or a slight bump. So I think that's a great engineering improvement. Another engineering improvement was where the top half of point dread connects to the bottom half. There's an additional little peg hole that can be utilized by the satellite dish or the blaster, but it also helps connect to the top part of the point dread. And this approach makes for a really sturdy and stable, cohesive set. Another upgrade from the vintage is it is not a cardboard cutout for all of the, computers and different techno gadgets that feature inside the point dread. No, it is a nice piece of plastic with stickers applied. So those are all the things I really like with this point dread and Talon Fighter release. Now let's go to some of the things I do not like about it. And all of my issues reside within the point dread portion of this release. The first being the weird kind of dark overspray that they added to the outside of the point dread. Now, earlier versions of the vintage set had this same overspray. The problem is, though, that the Origins Castle Grayskull does not feature this dark overspray. And so when you attach the top of point dread to your Castle Grayskull, it doesn't really blend in or match at all. When I saw a prototype at Spielwarenmesse, it did not feature this overspray, so this seems to be a later production choice. I hope it's something they can pivot and change for later releases, but I will say it seems like it can be easily removed with some isopropyl alcohol, so it's not that big of a deal. I did run into an engineering issue with the interconnecting pieces for when you attach the top half of the point dread to your Castle Grayskull. It only has teeth kind of in the front section of the point dread and nothing on the sides. So what happens is when you attach it to your Castle Grayskull, it attaches towards the front of that turret, but on the sides it doesn't at all. And it's very loosey-goosey. And while the point dread and Talon Fighter are firmly attached to each other, it's not firmly attached to the Castle Grayskull. So I do worry about if knocking into it or something like that could topple over your point dread and Talon Fighter off of your Castle Grayskull. It would probably have to be a hard knock for that to happen, but it is a curious engineering choice when you probably could have easily added a couple extra tabs to the side to make sure that wouldn't be an issue. And one last issue that I have is the scale of the point dread. The original had enough room to fit a 5.5-inch figure comfortably. The new one doesn't even come close. You'd have to kind of like hunch him over to kind of jam him inside of this point dread. It's funny, when I saw it at Spielwarenmesse, I didn't notice the size differences as much. But now that I have it in hand, it is a glaring height difference. It does work with a figure when you remove the top to the point dread, but it is a bummer that a figure can't fit inside of it when you have the bottom and top pieces attached. But I will say those issues do not overshadow the great aspects of this set. The Talon Fighter is a slam dunk. It's one of the best releases for a vehicle that we've gotten in the Origins line so far, and I know if you get it, you will love it as well. And the fact that probably a lot of us will attach the top of the point dread to our Castle Grayskulls, the size issue probably won't be that big of a deal. And if that darker overspray appears on a lot of other people's Talon Fighter point dread sets, it does seem like an easy fix with some isopropyl alcohol to, make it a little less jarring when you have it attached to your Castle Grayskull. And the fact that this set comes in at $44.99 on retailers like Entertainment Earth, and it'll probably be cheaper at major box retailers, I do think the positives far outweigh the negatives, and it definitely gets the Geek Dad Life buy rating. If you want to keep watching, check out this video. And until next time, hasta luego and goodbye.